Okay, let's get started, everyone. So welcome all. So now, okay, for the next few days, we'll cover first basic. So if you attend my AWS demo, last two demo, you understand that this AWS is nothing but a product. We are into the product training. And before we understand the product, which is in cloud base, we need to understand what exactly the cloud computing is. Why we require cloud computing. What is the feature, benefit, and advantage? What exactly the cost factor here in AWS? So that I'm going to clear first in a few sessions, all the basics. And once we understand everything, we'll start with the AWS console and practical session. Now the very basic, right? So I hope you attend my session where I explain what exactly the certification. So currently we are into the AWS Solution Architect Associate, that is 03 version, and already explained that what exactly the syllabus is. As okay, you already know or you may attend that we are going to understand the all foundational service of AWS. And once you understand these the AWS architecture, it is very easy for you to understand the entire the AWS. So now let's get started. And a very basic thing. What do you think? What is a cloud computing? So folks, I request all the member that let's be interactive. Do not keep on mute. If you have any questions, anything that you have in your mind, please feel free to ask immediately. Don't wait for the Q&A session. Okay, you can ask your question, you can speak, you can type your question, but let's make it interactive. It should not be a one way, it should be a two-way. So now folks, a very basic question that I'm going to ask, that what do you think, what is a cloud for you? If I ask you a one-liner answer, okay, that what is a cloud for you, no matter whether it is technical answer or non-technical, whatever you know that, okay, this is called cloud. So you can speak or you can type the answer on the chat. What do you think, what is a cloud for you? Anyone? Virtual server, Satish said that, okay. Other folks? I can see there are more than 27 members. Everyone, what do you think? What is, no matter it is technical or non-technical answer, what if you think that, okay, this is a cloud, you can feel free to type the answer on the chat. Online service.
Internet to access this cloud computing.
Sorry, Ravi, your voice is not clear to me. I can see the multiple answer, virtual storage, okay. Come on, folks. What do you think? What is a cloud for you? Any answer?
Cloud, it is on-demand delivery of IT resources according to the need.
Okay, Mrudul. Internet store and process the data. Okay. Trivini, okay. Other folks, last 10 seconds. So folks, I hope you remember my example. All right. So for me, if you ask me that, Amir, what do you think? What is a cloud for you? So my answer would be a very simple, that anything which you can access over the intranet and internet is nothing but a cloud. I repeat, anything which you can access over the intranet or internet, that's nothing but a cloud for me. Now, for an example, let's say you host one website on your laptop or desktop, and on your hard disk you have 1,000 songs, and you host all those 1,000 songs on your website, mysongs.com. Now, for other, whenever they access mysongs.com and they download some files, for them it is nothing but in cloud. They are downloading the songs from the cloud. But actually, okay, it is some hardware where it sit, and you're accessing that particular piece of application, or let's say piece of data, and you're downloading on your mobile, your laptop or desktop. So anything which you can access over the intranet and internet is nothing but a cloud. So now here exactly, right? So we also understand the example of the Ola Uber versus your personal car in last session. Where in Ola and Uber, it means what? It is a completely pay as you go services, right? So whenever I say pay as you go services, it means if you pay, no, if you use a 10-kilometer ride, then you will just have to pay a 10 kilometers only. The maintenance part is taken care by the your Ola and Uber. Whereas if you have your personal car, then it is your responsibility for maintaining the car, whether it is your yearly maintenance or whether it is your running maintenance. Then whenever you want, you can upgrade it. Whenever you want, you can degrade it as well, right? I hope you remember that example. Now the same benefits you will get here in the cloud as well, right? So cloud computing is what? It is also a on-demand delivery of a compute power, database, storage, application, or any other IT resources that you access via internet connection, and that is also a pay-as-you-go pricing model. And these resources also run on a server computer, which is located in a large different data centers in a different location around the world. And whenever we talk about the AWS, the service provider own their computers that they are using. And these resources can be used together like building blocks to build solution which help to meet your business goal and satisfy your technology requirement. So now here you can say infrastructure as a software. Now this cloud computing enable you to stop thinking of your infrastructure as a hardware, and instead of, okay, think as its software. But what exactly it means? Now here you can see your traditional computer. So now here you can see your traditional computing. So if you remember, okay, I might give the example, but let me repeat it again. Now everyone already aware about the Flipkart, right? The Flipkart is what? Is your e-commerce website from where you can purchase a different items, whether it is mobile, your shirts, t-shirts, and many things. Now here, okay, what happened? This Flipkart team decided to conduct the Black Friday day. That is a big billion day where customer will get more discounts. Now here what happened is that their entire on-premises server is working very fine with the entire year. But now if you remember the first big billion day, right? Our very first big billion day. So what happened? When they launched the big billion day, their website get crashed within a 2 minutes. Now, what happened exactly? Why website crashed? Because what happened? Their entire web server, their application, their payment gateway, everything is on their on-premises environment. And now what happened? Suddenly they have a spikes in a traffic. There is a huge load which their on-premises server was not able to manage it, and result is crash. So the website crash within a 2 minutes. Now here, what exactly the solution is? So someone say that, okay, what we can do, we can purchase a same additional hardware. But obviously, if you purchase a same additional hardware, then obviously you require a space, you require staff, require physical security, you require also planning. And obviously, once you purchase that hardware, obviously I cannot define my ROI, that is return on investment. Now, why exactly I cannot define? Because the resource utilization of that new hardware is hardly 1 or let's say 5%, right? Because why? The entire year, the website working fine, but they need additional compute capacity only whenever they require, whenever they have a big billion day, or whenever they have a, let's say, whenever they have the Black Friday day. Entire year website working fine, but only they required those new hardware only for their holiday sales. So obviously the resource utilization of that new hardware hardly 1 to 5% in an entire year. So we cannot define the what exactly the resource utilization, and there is a huge cost. So now these are what? These are the traditional computing, right? But now, instead of purchasing the entire hardware, what we can do, we can go with the cloud computing. So now what happened exactly? So here, Flipkart team, they decided to go with the cloud vendor. What they can do, they can just rent out a one server from the cloud. We call that EC2, that is Elastic Compute Cloud. So we just rent out the server. We deploy our payment gateway, we deploy our application, we deploy our content, website, everything. And now what happened in case of any big billion day, or let's say Black Friday, Diwali, or let's say some Eid or Christmas, what we can do, we can just launch those specific instance or virtual machines. And now what happened is that we can also deploy our load balancer behind that. And whenever user try to access flipkart.com, so might be 20 or 30 percent of traffic goes to the on-premises environment, and the remaining traffic 70 or 80%, okay, goes to the cloud, let's say EC2. And now what happen if there is a 200x time load, okay, you are on the Flipkart, AWS or the cloud upgrade themselves to the higher compute. And whenever less load or less traffic in spike, what happen? They can decrease the load as well. Now here, as I said, that cloud computing, it means what? It's just some pay as you go services, right? So within once they complete the big billion day, they can simply terminate those instance or virtual machine, and they just need to use pay as you go, right? That's the reason I'll say that this cloud computing, it means what? They are the flexible, right? They are very easily and cost effectively than the hardware solution, right? So you don't need to purchase anything, because why? The main benefit of this is CapEx turn into the OpEx. This is a main advantage of your cloud. Make sense, everyone? What I'm trying to say is, just give me a thumbs up if you understand. Yes, some acknowledgement. Clear the use case, everyone? Awesome. Capital expenditure and operational expenditure. That is the CapEx and OpEx. So now folks, here, as I said, that this cloud computing. Now this cloud computing enable you to think of your infrastructure as a software, because as I said that these solutions are flexible. You can select the cloud service that best match your needs, a provision and terminate those resources on demand and pay for what you use. And as I say that, upgradation, degradation. So you can elastically scale resources up and down in the automated fashion. So with cloud computing model, you can treat resources as a temporary and disposable. So the flexibility that the cloud computing offer enable business to implement some new solutions quickly, and that is also a very low upfront cost. Because this cloud computing is, it means what? It is a variable cost to your company. And just now you understand that compared to the hardware solution, software solution can change more quickly, easily, and obviously it isn't cost effectively. So these cloud computing help developers and IT departments to avoid undifferentiate work like procurement, maintenance, capacity planning, and it also enable them to focus on what matter most. So this cloud computing has grown very popularly. There are several different services model and deployment strategies have emerged to help the specific need of the different users. So in cloud, there are also two mainly models. Okay, one is the cloud service model, and second one is the cloud deployment model. It means just now we understand that what exactly the cloud, but now let's understand these different type of models. Okay, like the service model and the deployment model as well. So in service model, right? Here you can see the three type. One is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a services. Now this each model represent a different part of the cloud computing stack, and it gives you a different level of control over your IT resources. Now let's understand one by one what exactly it is. Now the first one, infrastructure as a services, right? So when we talk about these, okay, here it mentioned infrastructure as a services. It means cloud provider infrastructure as a services. Now what exactly it means? Now service in this category, okay, are, as I say, that basically building blocks. Now what exactly the building blocks? So for an example, let's say you purchase the flat, right? You purchase the flat. Obviously, builder develop the building and they have a same type of building blocks, a different blocks. Builder provide you the infrastructure, and once you got the key in hand, you know internally you can change accordingly. It means you can also decide where to have your couch, or let's say TV unit, or let's say you can also decide which one is for the children room, which one is for the main bedroom, that you can decide it. Might be some different person maybe decide something different, right? It means builder provide you the infrastructure, and once you have that infrastructure, you can build accordingly. Now the same thing in infrastructure as a services, okay? It typically provide you the access of your networking feature, computers. Okay, when I say the computer, it means your virtual or dedicated hardware. Data storage space. So this infrastructure as a service provide you with the highest level of flexibility and management control over your IT resources. It is a more similar to your existing IT resources that many IT department and developer are currently familiar. So it means they provide infrastructure here. And when we talk about the platform as a services, right? It means they provide you the platform. So now service in this category reduce the need for you to manage underlying infrastructure and enable you to focus on the deployment and management of your application. Now, what exactly it means? For example, let's say you are the database administrator. I'll come to you and say that, hey, I need one MySQL server. Make sure you have a proper hardware with the proper hard disk. Make sure you have a patch up all the operating system application. Make sure you create high availability, backups, and everything. And then you can provide with me. Now, as a system administrator or the network administrator in your environment. Now here what happened? First, you need to create or you need to find out the proper hardware where you have a RAM, hard disk, everything. And top of that, okay, you need to install your OS. So you deploy the OS. And once you install the OS, obviously it's your responsibility to update the OS, right? So you update the OS here. And after that, you install the SQL application, right? And might be you required the update again here. So here again, you update the SQL. And once you configure the update and SQL, you also need to create your backup plan. Because what will happen if your main server fail or any hardware fail, then obviously you need to create your backup plan. And then you can create your high availability. Okay. High availability and everything that you can configure, right? And then for the configuration, you can, you can hand over to your customer or let's say, okay, your colleague, whatever it is. Now in this platform as a services, right? In platform as a services, these are the responsibility of the AWS. And this is only the customer responsibility. As I said that in this platform as a service, right? You don't need to manage any underlying hardware. It means what? Everything that is your high availability, backup, update, SQL installation, OS installation, managing the hardware, that is an AWS responsibility. You just need to go and configure the SQL. For an example, let me show you the example. Give me a second. So let me show you. That's my account, AWS account. And here I'm just accessing the platform as a service called the RDS. That is my relational database services. And now here you can see I'm just going to configure either MySQL or let's say the Postgres SQL, Oracle, MariaDB, SQL Server, IBM 2. It means what? Here, if you see AWS, okay, here already configure these things for you, everything, and you just need to configure it. That's it. Right? So I just need to configure, okay, let's say here, what exactly, let's say MySQL, okay, what exactly, where exactly you want to deploy, okay, provide your everything, these information, and that's it. You can directly start working here directly. Right? So these are the things which you can, configure directly. That is a platform as a services. And when we discuss about the software as a services, software as a service. Now, service in this category provide you with a complete product that service provider run and manage. So in most cases, software as a service refer to end user application. So with the SaaS offering, you do not have to think about how the service is maintained or how underlying infrastructure is managed. You just need to think only about how to plan to use that particular piece of software. So if you remember, you already know the software as a service application is nothing but your Gmail, your free web-based mail, where you can send and receive email without managing a feature addition to the email product or maintaining the server and operating system that the email program run on. That's the software as a services. Make sense, everyone? Before I move to the next.
Yes.
Yes, no? Please acknowledge. If you have any question, please type or speak.
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, great. Now the next one. Now, just now we understand the service. Just now we understand what exactly the cloud service model. And now let's understand what exactly the cloud deployment models. Now this three deployment model represent the cloud environment that your application can be deployed in. Now the first one here, you can see the cloud. Now this cloud web-based application is fully deployed in the cloud and all part of the application run in the cloud. So application in the cloud have either been created in the cloud or have been migrated from your existing infrastructure to take advantage of the your benefit of your cloud computing. So cloud-based application can be built on a very low level infrastructure piece, or they can use a higher level of service that provide abstraction from the management, architecting, and the scaling requirement of your core infrastructure. It means everything which is deployed in the cloud or you already migrated to the cloud, that's nothing but the entire cloud deployment model. And just now I explained you about the Flipkart, right? Where they are using the on-premises environment and they are also using the cloud. It means hybrid. A hybrid deployment is a way to connect the infrastructure and application between the cloud-based resources and existing resources that are not located in the cloud. And as I say that the most common method of the hybrid deployment is between the cloud and existing on-premises infrastructure. So this model enable on the organization to extend and grow their infrastructure into the cloud while connecting the cloud resources to internal systems. If you have the cloud plus your on-premises, that's nothing but your hybrid. So can anyone give me the, just now I gave you the real-time example about the, let's say Flipkart, that is in, this is one of the use case. So do you know any other use case where, any organization using the hybrid model? Anyone? Any use case that you know? Amazon, okay. Any general use case? Anyone, folks? What do you think? What is the real-time use case for the hybrid deployment? Last 10 seconds. What do you think? Okay. So now let's say, okay, I'll give one of the example in the, let's say, in medical field. Now in medical field, what happened? You have a scanner, different scanner, cancer or some other things, right? So they have a scanner machines. It means they have to be deployed on the on-premises. And obviously they have some application which diagnostic or which run the real time. So they want to monitor the real time patients data. So the application has to be on the on-premises, but rest of the thing, okay, your application logs and everything that is stored on the cloud. What exactly it is? That is also one of the hybrid model. And now here the on-premises, that is private cloud, we also called it PCP, private cloud platform. Now let's say, let me give the example first before I explain what exactly this private cloud platform. Now let's suppose, okay, you're the owner of the application, CRM application. Now customer repository management. Now for an example, you are selling this product to your call centers and everything. Now what exactly the product is? Okay, so let's say you build your own company or website. Let's say www.mycrm.com. So different customer, okay, you're in all the customer, they just open www.mycrm.com. They provide their username and password, their company email ID and password, and they can log in to their portal CRM. And now what happened? Agent receive the call from that website only. All right. So you receive a call. Okay, whatever the information that you want to save, you can save it, logs and everything, call logs and everything it's stored on the My CRM data center. Now what happened? The one bank approach you and say that, hey, I really like your CRM application. I also want the CRM application. But the sorry, but the problem is that we can't use your cloud, right? Because we have some compliances, we should not use any internet connection, or even though we cannot save our customer call record on your data center. But we need your application. So now in this case, the on-premises cloud or the private cloud platform, it means what? You just need to provide the details to your bank that, okay, I need this hardware, rack, server and everything. And what we can do, our deployment team will deploy the application in your own private, premises. So now the agent from the bank, they just access might be 192.168.1.1. They just provide their bank email ID and password and they can log in it. And through the local area network, they receive a call. And all the call logs are saved in their own on-premises data center, which is in there locally. It means here in the these on-premises deployment, your resources is on premises. So might be using some virtualization resource management tool, or sometimes it's or some other hardwares. So obviously this on-premises deployment does not provide a many benefit of the cloud computing, but it is sometime provide some dedicated resources. So these deployment model is same as your legacy IT, but it might also use application management and virtualization technologies to increase the resource utilization. So if you have such kind of the requirement where you want to deploy the cloud application on your premises, it's called private cloud platform or on-premises private cloud platform. Make sense, everyone?
Amir, can you please take it again?
Yeah,
The
everything
on-premise.
about the on-premises or any
Yes,
specific thing?
yes. No, just the on-premise service, the private
Okay,
cloud.
okay.
Thank you.
So what I'm trying to say is here, let's say you want to use Instagram, right? So you want to use your Instagram only within your on-premises infrastructure, where you have 100+ mobiles, right? Mobile phones and everything, and you connect it to your Wi-Fi location. You wish that you have some special Instagram application. You are not using the normal application, Instagram application, which we access. So what happened? Instagram deploy your application on your server, right? The entire application they deployed on your server. And now whenever you access your specific Instagram feature or let's say a website here, then you are connected, communicated locally only. So there is a different cloud, right? It is for the Instagram, okay, which is for the normal people, but here they build a special solution for you, which is accessible only within your network. That is the private cloud platform.
Okay, thank you.
Make sense now?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Other folks, any question? Rohan, Sunita, Sonal,
Hello.
Salim, Rohit, Rita,
Yeah,
Mridul.
hello.
Yep, go ahead, please.
Yeah. With the PCP, right? So does it mean that when you are on operating or using the PCP, you can't go to different environments or different locations to work on the cloud?
Yeah, because that is not in my compliance, right? The main benefit of the on-premises is what? I don't want to communicate over the internet.
Okay. So it means that you can does it mean that if you're working in the your work premises, you can't go home and continue on the job you are working at
Yeah,
home?
it depends, right? So if you have a VPN company or your VPN, virtual private network, you can connect your on-premises environment as well using VPN. So it depends upon your company policies and organization.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right?
And then one, can you go back? Excuse me, sorry. Can you explain a little bit about the hybrid for me, please? It's now the hybrid one, please.
Yeah, sure. So you understand the cloud, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So you understand the cloud. And now what happened? Let's say in your in your organization, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you have some application. Okay, for an example, let's say you are working in hospital industry where you have some cancer, okay, devices. These are devices. And doctor get all the record, real-time record on your application. So this application show everything. So you cannot deploy this application on the cloud. Why? Because it is monitor real-time patient diagnostic. So your application has to be deployed on your premises. But other piece of application, like say log feature or storage feature, for that they are using the cloud. Hybrid, it means what? A combination of cloud and on-premises server. That's nothing but a hybrid.
All
Make
right.
sense
Thank
now?
you. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, folks, you have in your mind before I move to the next? Okay. Now let's go ahead. Now here you can see, okay, these are the similarities between the AWS and your traditional infrastructure. Now here, if you see that, right, here you can see, okay, you have the firewalls, you have a ACL, you also have a administrator access. In AWS, what we called it? We called it security groups for the firewall. Access control list, it means in AWS, it's a network ACL, NACL, and your administration is nothing but the identity and access management. Where administration, it means what? You can create your authentication and authorization. The same way in IAM, it means what? You can also create authentication and authorization for your AWS product. In normal, we use router, network pipeline, switches. Here in AWS, we use the Elastic Load Balancer, a virtual private cloud where we can create our own infrastructure. In on-premises, we have a different server. In AWS, we call it Amazon Machine Image, the AMI, from where you can launch your virtual machine, that is your EC2, that is Elastic Compute Cloud. Then in your on-premises, you have a direct attached storage, storage in area network, network attached storage, or you can say relational database management system. But in AWS, we have Elastic Block Storage, Elastic File Storage, Simple Storage Services, and for the RDBMS, we call it Relational Database Services. Just now I showed you. So these are just some similarities between the AWS. We'll also deep dive everything whenever we start a specific topic. So we'll understand. First, we'll start with this, what exactly the IAM, how exactly we can configure administration. And then we'll configure the everything that we have. Now, okay, you're already aware about what exactly the advantage of it, right? But let me explain in technical way that what exactly the advantage of cloud computing. Now here you understand that why so many companies are interested to moving the cloud. Okay, so let me explain the 6 advantage of your cloud computing. Now very first, that is, as I say, okay, about the trade capital expense, variable expense, fixed cost versus variable cost. As I said that the cloud, it means a variable cost to the company. Capex. Capex, it means capital expenses. Now these capex are funds that company use to acquire, upgrade and maintain physical assets such as your property, your industrial building, equipments. So if you remember the data center example in a traditional computing model where you need to rack and stack the hardware and then manage it all. So it means you must pay for everything in a data center whether you use it or not. But by contracts, variable expenses is an expense that the person who bear the cost and can easily alter or avoid as well. So instead of investing heavily in your data center and server before you know how you will use them, you can pay only when you consume the resources and pay only for what you use, whatever the amount you consume. It means you save the money and technology. For an example here, let's say you're working in the QA environment and you need the machine to test your application. What exactly you require? You require the Linux, right? Then you required the 2.4 gigahertz machine, you required 18 GB RAM, and you also required some, let's say 40 GB of hard disk. It means I need to procure that, right? I need to purchase that to test it. So you use for, let's say, okay, only for the 8 days. And after 8 days, you have successfully completed the testing and now you want to decrease the RAM, which is earlier 18 GB and now you want to use, okay, as in 2 GB of RAM. You already purchase it. So no matter whether you consume 100% of the CPU or the machine or you use 0%, you already paid the charges. And degradation of the hardware, obviously there is a no any cost saving here. But in AWS, as I said, you can launch these machines in within a 2 minutes and you just need to pay as you go. So in night, if you switch off your, your virtual machine, there is a save on a cost. And even though earlier you're using 18 GB of RAM and now you're using just 2 GB of RAM, it means what? Again, you save the cost. That is pay only for the amount you consume. You don't need to invest the high cost in a data center. Then second, benefit from massive economic of scale. Now by using this cloud computing, you can achieve lower variable costs than you can get your own because uses of from the hundreds of thousands of customers is aggregated in the cloud or providers such as AWS can achieve a higher economic of scale, which translate into lower pay as you go services. So the maximum service you use, the more benefits you will get. And now this is how exactly happen with the Flipkart Axle. Because why? We can't guess the capacity. But in cloud, it eliminate guessing about your infrastructure capacity need. So when you make a capacity decision before you deploy the application, you often either have a expensive idle resources or you deal with some limited capacity. But as I said, in the cloud, these problems go away. You can access, okay, as much as little you need or scale up or scale down required. And that is only within a few minutes. So in a cloud computing, new IT resources are only a one click away, which means that you reduce the time, okay, to make those resources available to your developers from the week in that is just in minutes. And once you use the cloud, the result is dramatically increase. Okay, and that is for your agility, because the cost and the time that it take to experiment and develop are now a very lower in a AWS. Within a click, you can launch a heavy resources in a AWS. And obviously stop spending money on running and maintaining the data center. Obviously, that is a AWS headache who manage their data center and everything. We just need to use the resources so that you can focus on a project that differentiate your business instead of focusing on the infrastructure. Now, these cloud computing enable you to focus on your own customer instead of your heavy lifting, racking, stacking, and powering the server. That is taken care by the AWS only. And the last one here, you can see go global in a minute. So you can deploy your application in a multiple AWS data center around the world, and that is also just a few clicks. And as a result, you can provide a lower latency and better experience for your customers. You can simply, okay, simplify, and you can also minimal the cost as well. So these are the main benefit of the entire cloud. So everyone is now currently moving to the, they already moved to the AWS or let's say any other product, or they are planning to migrate their on-premises to the to the cloud or AWS or Azure. Now, why AWS is more famous? Because AWS is the first company who introduced such a service into the market. AWS directly born into the cloud. Other product like an Azure, OCI, or any product, they adopt the technology of the cloud. But from the day one, AWS directly build the solutions over the cloud as well. So that's the reason they have a highest market shares. And obviously, okay, they have a huge infrastructure as compared to the other. So today we just understand that, okay, what exactly the cloud, main thing. And also we understand that what exactly the benefit of the cloud, and we also understand that, okay, what exactly uh we also understand that what exactly the advantage of the cloud. So tomorrow, okay, whenever we start, I'll also explain you that what exactly the Amazon web services, what is a web services, that we are going to understand. And we also understand the total cost of ownership, how exactly we can cost or calculate it. So that also I'm going to explain tomorrow. So for next few days, we have a 1 hour session. And after that, okay, we have the couple of sessions, 2 hour session. Okay, folks. Any question here? Any question, folks, so far? Any question, folks? Everything is clear, I hope. Okay, great. Then thank you. Thank you so much for joining the session today. Let's meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you everyone for joining the session. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.